pregame.com.
Welcome back to pregame.tv, Saturday college basketball action. I'm your host, Marco D'Angelo, joined in studio, Ken Thomson, SportsX Radio, Bryan Leonard. We're going to break down Syracuse and Duke. Guys, lost a little bit of the luster that was building up to this rematch. Syracuse, undefeated, no more. They lost last night to Boston College. This is something maybe we saw coming. You know, Syracuse, how many lives did this cat have, so to speak? They kept dodging bullets. But, you know, I talked about it today with Scott on First Preview radio show. I think it's actually a blessing in disguise when these teams finally get that loss, because I think the longer you go undefeated, it just puts more pressure on that team trying to keep that undefeated season going. You can't play, you know, with your foot to the gas, pedal on the floor every game. You know, these teams are going to burn out. Finally, I think it caught up to Syracuse. Did they get caught looking ahead to Saturday against Duke? Because the first meeting, you don't get any better of basketball game than you saw in that first meeting between these two.
They shouldn't have had a look ahead, because the two games before that, they struggled. I mean, I could see it if they were won comfortably the games before that and could have the look ahead against Boston College. But they just haven't been playing well. They have not been scoring. And unlike other Syracuse teams in the past that played really good defense, I don't think this Syracuse team is nearly as good defensively as the others in the past. And we saw when they don't score, they don't win.
I don't think this team is near as good as people think they are. I don't think they're a top 5 team. I don't think they may not even be a top 10 team. When you look at several of their games, they could easily have 4 losses already. I mean, they have escaped the NC State game. The Pittsburgh game was a prayer.
Horrible.
I mean, this team lets teams hang around, teams that shouldn't be hanging around. They have a good shooter in Cooney. Ennis has played over his head. He's an outstanding freshman. He's got a load of potential. Please don't go to the NBA after 1 year, because you're not ready, kid. You're not Kyrie Irving. He's good, but he's not that good. He's got some growing to do. I think this team's got a lot of growing to do. I think C.J. Fair's a selfish player at times, and I think it comes back to haunt them. And Boeheim's just kind of kicking it there and just, knows he's got all those wins. And very rarely do we see any emotion out of Jim Boeheim. I mean, I'd like to see him chew into a team when you're struggling at home with Boston College. And please, let's do away with these ridiculous uniforms. There's a reason they're called throwback uniforms. They should be throw-out uniforms. Throw that crap. These are absolutely embarrassing. It didn't even look like Syracuse. Neither did it look like Syracuse on the team as far as the game goes, like the team that we saw early on. I just think this team's very overrated. I know they're going to come with their best effort against Duke. They've had some good quality wins, but they have a lot of work to do if they want to get to the Final Four or Elite Eight.
I just want to point out about the uniforms, that they put them out for that special game. They're undefeated on the season. They switched the uniforms. I don't think we'll be seeing those uniforms ever again.
Good point. Well, Bryan, you have anything you want to add before I make this one official?
Not really, other than the point that when you're taking a look right now, Syracuse has struggled offensively going back a few games. Duke is a team that can light up the scoreboard. I mean, they've drafted a little bit, or drafted. Whatever they do in college, you pay them off a little bit. But they brought in a lot of guys who are better offensive players, and they play more of an up-and-down game this year, which is something that I don't think matches up very well with Syracuse. And, this is a nice revenge game here for Duke, and a game that Syracuse really fit their profile. They pulled it out late last time they played. We'll see what happens this time.
Zones work, but not against a great shooting team. Duke shoots the ball much better at Cameron. It's going to be a tough game, but Syracuse did get a break that the game with Carolina got rescheduled for Thursday, for today, for tonight, and that could take something out of Duke.
All right, well, let's make this one official. All right, guys, that is a big factor, that first game, when we look at Duke, in my opinion, went to the Carrier Dome and was able to dictate the tempo of the game. Syracuse doesn't want to play a game up and down the floor, and Duke was able to play their game at the Carrier Dome. I don't think that's going to happen the second time around. I think Boeheim's going to be smart enough to take away that outside shot. Duke was just firing up threes that entire game. They shot 36 three-pointers in that game, and when you're shooting that many and you're making them the way they do, that's what kept them in that game. I think Syracuse's physical style of basketball is going to be what is going to win this game out. I know everybody's going to look to go against Syracuse here because they finally lost. I think it's like They can relax and exhale now. They don't have that weight on their shoulders of trying to hang on to the undefeated season. They can just go out and play basketball. And the schedule maker gave them a huge break. Ken touched upon it. Duke and North Carolina was supposed to play last week, but because of the weather conditions back east, that game got canceled and moved to tonight. We're taping on Thursday. They got to play their arch rival, North Carolina, tonight at North Carolina, and then turn around and play 2 days later this game against Syracuse. Everybody's going to want to run to Duke because they said they almost beat them at the Carrier Dome, and they're going to figure they're going to get their revenge. I don't think so. I'm going to take the points. I'm expecting this line to be somewhere in the neighborhood of +3.5 or 4. As long as I'm getting 3 points or more here, I will be on Syracuse. My numbers actually have them winning this game outright. I'm going to take Syracuse on Saturday. Big game. I know it's revenge for Duke, but I'll take the points with what I feel is the better defensive team, and they will get it done and make the adjustments to take away all of those threes. If Duke is firing all those threes, then it's going to be a different story, but Boeheim's too smart to let them do that a second time. Take Syracuse on Saturday. We'll be back next with the next video. We're going to go to Sunday. We've got SMU at Connecticut up next, pregame.tv.